Finance used to be about using financial resources to better allocate real-world resources, improve people's lives, grow the economy, but somehow it's lost its way. Somehow it's become disconnected with the underlying economy. It's become about creating a toll bridge, a centralized toll bridge to the economy. JP Morgan would recognize the situation right away. 100 years ago, he was asked, when lending, what's more important, loan to asset ratio or loan to income? And he said, the character of the man. Not their cash flow, not their wealth, but their character. I'm Jeff Stewart with Lenddo, and we have discovered, or perhaps rediscovered, how to use social networks to connect financial services with character. But that's not what we set out to do. We were internet entrepreneurs. We had employees all over the world. We had a very simple problem. They kept coming to us asking for loans. Their sister needed tuition payment. Their mother or grandmother needed medicine. And the local financial services providers weren't helping them. This made no sense. These are hardworking people, highly employable. We tend to hire from the best universities. There's no reason they shouldn't have the same level of financial inclusion that we enjoy in Western societies. So we dug a little deeper. And what we found is that they actually do have some financial services. They can borrow $5 on Monday and pay back $6 on Friday. In fact, this is so common that it's called a 5-6 loan. And you see it throughout the emerging markets. So we said, capitalism seems to be failing us. Let's assemble a team, figure out how to fix this. And that's when we came across something that completely changed our life. Microfinance, as pioneered by Professor Yamas, where you get a community to work together. They're involved in the underwriting process. You crowdsource character. They're involved in the collections. They're involved in the education around financial services. And the result is the money's almost always paid back. About $50 billion a year is lent using this technique. And Professor Yamas actually got a Nobel Peace Prize for his ability to get money down to the bottom of the pyramid. And we saw this, we said, wait a minute, we're internet guys. We can do this. We thought about our own use of social networks. We don't have internet friends, we have real friends. And in a lot of cases, those relationships are better documented and stronger than ones that merely exist in the real world. So we assembled a group of scientists, a group of engineers, and we started building a system. We were so proud of ourselves. So we started, as it started to come together, we showed it to experts in credit. And what they told us is this is nothing new. In fact, this is how credit worked for hundreds of years. It used to be, if you wanted a loan, the loan officer would talk to your neighbors. They'd come into your community and figure out your character and who you were. So we felt we were on the right track. About a year ago, we got ready to launch. And then we heard a speech, an interview with Mark Zuckerberg, where someone asked him, how do you create an online social network? And his answer was, you can't. You can only have a real social network. And that's when we knew we were on the right track. And we launched, and guess what? It worked. Today, families are able to send relatives into school. They're able to get training, substantially increase their income. Medicine for parents and grandparents. So you may ask, well, how did we do this? And the answer is we didn't. We merely created the tools where the crowd could prove identity, prove trustworthiness, and prove character. So how did we get into a situation where for hundreds of years we lent using character and then suddenly we didn't? And the answer is technology. Actually, best documented in a book by Robert Putnam, Bowling Alone. Basically two big technologies, the automobile and television. In the 50s, we started suburbanization in the developed economies. You had people spending more time commuting, less time knowing their neighbors, less time at the Rotary Club, more time in front of the television. And financial services responded with the increased use of ratios, increased centralization, increased use of FICO score. What has happened here? We've crowdsourced reputation. We've disintermediated the credit officer in a lending environment. Now you may say, crowdsourcing, yeah, that's great, but this is capitalism. That's not really the way it works. And to that, I would completely disagree. We're here at the New York Stock Exchange, the ultimate manifestation of crowdsourced pricing. If we've learned anything from the fall of the Soviet Union, is that crowds are the best way to allocate capital, the best way to figure out price, and the best way to assess risk. And that's what we've done. Now you think, what are the implications of that? We're doing it in lending. But this crowdsourced reputation, what happens when crowds start to trust each other more than, say, a centralized insurance authority? Or they start trusting each other more than, say, a centralized transaction processor, or even a central government creating a currency? The answer, we don't know. But what we do know is that the future of financial services is crowdsourced. But then again, it's also the past. Thank you.